Thanks for all participants today joining us. Before introducing you to Cesar, let me share with you a few words from the ASEAN Network. The ASEAN Network is a digital community of thought, business, and young leaders. Most of the topics are related to the fourth industrial revolution and tech for good movement. For today's event format, we want to inspire people and young leaders with inspiring stories and achievements. The first question I will ask to Cesar will be more intellectual and around his career, and the second one more centered on his life purpose and mission.
This presentation is available online. You can actually, I will share in the chat, and you can also just scan the QR code there, and that will lead you to this presentation, and there's lots of embedded links. My father is Japanese, my mom is French. I studied in France and the UK, but I worked quite a bit in the US before coming to Hong Kong. And my studies and my work has been really between the world of arts and the world of science, and in between in design and engineering. And I don't see it as two opposed practices, art and science, but I see them as being very, very connected. If you want to be a good artist, you have to have technological knowledge. If you want to be a great scientist, you have to have a very creative mind. So I really believe that art and science are actually not that far away from each other. Maybe I'll tell you the story back from 2010. So the BP oil spill started in the Gulf of Mexico. There was a huge environmental catastrophe, and millions of animals died, and people lost their job, and the environment was destroyed. And I was working at MIT to develop a technology to clean up the BP oil spill. But the technology was going to be very expensive, very slow to develop, and it was going to be closed source, which means that only a few people would be able to use the technology. So I left my dream job at MIT and I moved to New Orleans, where I lived for 2 years, and I worked on the BP oil spill with the fence line community, so people who are affected directly by the oil spill. And while I was working as a volunteer in nonprofit, I developed a new type of boat, which is a shape-shifting sailing robot. So it's a new type of boat that can change shape and that can optimize how you navigate. And that's the reason why I came to Hong Kong originally, because I was looking for a place to manufacture those robots. That's why I tell you that story. I'm not going to play the video, but basically you can find it online. It's a TED Talk, and you can watch it. So you can go and find it online. I will tell you about a technology that is sort of a continuation of this development that I've started working in 2016, which is again an autonomous sailing robot, but this time it is designed to map coral reefs. So Hong Kong has lots of coral reef, but they are quite damaged because of pollution. And so with a team of young students, we developed a robot that takes thousands of pictures of coral reefs, stitches the pictures together, and then with artificial intelligence, we classify those pictures and we identify coral reefs and trying to estimate their health. And it's way faster and way cheaper than a boat and divers, and also much safer. And so we are working now to make this technology 100,000 times better than the state of the art, to really accelerate the rate at which we can observe and study coral reef, and hopefully we can save some coral reefs. So that's a project I'm doing right now. One of my students that you see here, his name is Siddhant Gupta. And last week, a project that we have done together with my former student, who is now an entrepreneur, we actually were the robot that we built together. So I designed and built this robot for him. This is a robot that is designed to catch plastic in rivers and estuaries. And this was, so it's being tested right now by FCD and other government and large construction organizations that do reclaiming. And so when you build land, you always leave a lot of trash in the sea. And so this robot is designed actually on this very table. This robot was built right where I'm sitting now. And it was, yeah. So if you go on the website, you can find more information. So Ravindra asked me to talk a little bit about sailing around the world. So I was very lucky to come to Hong Kong by ship. So I departed from San Francisco and sailed across the Pacific Ocean. And so I was very lucky to sail around the world. And in every port that I've been able to test the boat. And this is also how I came to discover ASEAN. My father's Japanese, so I've been to Japan many times, but I had never a chance to really get to know the other parts of Southeast Asia. So that was my first step, was sailing around the world. And when I came in Hong Kong, it was in 2014. At the beginning, I tried to replicate, I built my own factory from scratch in the new territories, in the chicken farm in Yuen Long. And then I started building bigger and bigger boats. I needed a larger factory. In 2017, we built in Yau Tong. And 2 years ago, 2018, we transformed a large factory in Chun Wan into Hong Kong's largest innovation space. And since then, we also became a foundation. So we also have a for-profit, which is MakerBay Limited, and a MakerBay Foundation. And with MakerBay Foundation, we have transformed one room in 6 youth centers in the poorest part of Hong Kong to teach young people about electronics and coding and robotics, about AI, and also about more traditional craft, woodwork, metalwork, so that they have a better chance at social mobility. And this is a project that is going on right now. So we've done projects all around the world, but a year ago, the Cambodian Ministry of Post and Telecommunication heard about some of work that we had done in Cambodia to help to train young entrepreneurs and inventors in Cambodia. And they asked us to build Cambodia's largest innovation space. So this is maybe 9 months ago. We designed the whole innovation space for them, helped them with a list of material and content for training and safety procedures and logistics. And on the left side, this is the CAD design, and on the right side, this is the real thing. And so now the building is almost finished. Because of COVID-19, the start has been a bit delayed, but now it's really exciting to see all the design that we have made are now happening. And so we're very excited that we are building Cambodia's largest innovation space, and we're going to be training thousands of young people in the years to come. The goal is to build several incubators with vertical industry specialization, agriculture, textile, transportation, maybe even like e-finance, telecommunication, like 5G deployment and IoT deployment for like agriculture, for example, how to modernize those sectors that are still very, very big in Cambodia. And I also teach at university. At university, I teach architecture and design. This is a course that I'm teaching about naval architecture. And with my students in April, we'll make a newer version of this, which is a very low-cost fish farm, a connected smart fish farm for growing species that are specialized in purifying the water. So you can see that this farm we built in 2 days, and it costs less than $1,000 to build and actually ship in Hong Kong. So we think that we can make it even cheaper in developing countries. And so this year we're working with the Marine Science Department to grow oysters and mussels, both for purifying the water and for producing hydrogen in the sea, so also like a green energy. So yeah, so that's the project I'm involved with. If you want to know more, you can go on my website where I have a different link to the different projects, MakerBay, which is a community, my robotics work, and the work in Design and Architecture University of Hong Kong. And so yeah, my details are here. If I can help in any way, please let me know.
Yeah, thanks, Cesar. I think that with all these achievements, you really, I think, impact more indeed than a country, but also communities and especially young people, and as you said before, unprivileged people. So it's really bring me to the second question. Yes. Because obviously I think both are connected, and this is again one of the purpose of that speaker series is mainly most of the high achievers leaders. They are really focused, of course, of success. But I think that behind that vision of that speaker series, I think that, and especially nowadays, I think people should be driven by a life purpose, by a mission. So let me ask you, Cesar, what is your life mission and purpose, which is I think we have found indirectly within your previous achievement. But yeah, so I'll let you the floor.
So my life purpose is actually it's pretty simple. It's actually to try to protect as much life as possible. Um, I don't think it's particularly original. Like I'm just interested to enable more life and less suffering to be happening. And I do that through education, through teaching, and also entrepreneurship and developing new technologies that I hope are going to be helping the environment and helping people. MakerBay, the place where I'm sitting now, was kind of accidental. I was just trying to build a big workshop for myself and then wanting to share with the other people. But then a lot of people didn't know how to use the machine. I ended up, doing a lot of teaching here. But so yeah, so my life purpose is that in general. Now everybody has got special gift, a special area of interest, and my particular area of interest is the ocean, because the ocean is first where all life comes from. Like our ancestors, are like unicellular organism in the ocean. And when we go to trying to look for life in outer space, we also look for water. Uh, and so if we destroy the ocean, then it's certain that we will destroy our own lives. Also, if you think about the climate's actually controlled by the ocean. The ocean covers 71% of the surface of the planet. And so when the sun shines and the sun heats the surface of the planet, actually 90% of the heat from the sun is absorbed by the ocean. So the ocean redistributes that heat so that we could live. And then the ocean is also the future for our food and our future for energy. For example, like we're already using about 40% of the surface of the land to grow agriculture, to feed ourselves. And then about more than half of the land that we use to grow food, actually more than half goes to feeding animals that we then eat. But actually, there's like we're destroying, for example, the Amazon to grow beef and so on. And so with the growing population, with the climate change, like global warming, there's just not enough land that we can actually mobilize to feed people. And so the only way that we're going to be able to feed people is to produce more food from the sea. And aquaculture is one of the fastest industry. So I want to develop technologies and solutions not only to exploit the sea, but to feed people and at the same time fight climate change. So it's a personal kind of spiritual involvement. It's also a political choice, but it's also an economic perspective that is efficient and promising.
Let me ask you 3 words that you want to share, and perhaps behind the why of these 3 words, 3 keywords that you have in mind.
I would say the first would be love. I think if you want to make decision based on love, not on fear. I think a lot of the problems happen in the world because we assume the worst of others, that we choose that this person is your enemy, for example, and that's why even kind people can be misled in considering other people as their enemies and being willing to kill people and their families. So I think first out of love, I don't think such thing such decision can be made. um, the second I would say is honesty. I think if you are honest, and if you are looking at reality and facts, and being willing to be intellectually honest and question your own beliefs, then I think you can have a honest conversation as well. And beliefs can be replaced by knowledge and wisdom and facts, like science basically. And then the third word I would say would be most important, would be open. The world is, the environment, for example, is collapsing so quickly. We're in the 6th great extinction. And so I don't think there's any time at all for people not to collaborate. If we don't make science and technology open source, all the stuff that I showed you is all open source. You can go online, you can download it, and you can make a business out of my ideas. I actually want you to do that. I want people to make money and steal my ideas, so I make everything open source, because I think there's no time. Like, what are you going to say to your grandchildren? Oh, I had a great idea that could have saved millions of life, or could have made the life of other people better, but I was trying to make a bit of money. That's stupid. And if you look back at it, it's really stupid. And so I just don't think that we have the time to be petty, and then we have to work together and trying to remove as much friction as one can, to enable collaboration and being transparent, and just focus on the objective. Like, keep your eyes on the prize. The prize is enabling people to live decently, and not having to become climate refugees, or water war refugees. Like, it's not acceptable, I think, to just to think of your personal interests. I think it's too small.